disposal of agenda.
Make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Second. Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed, no. Anybody get it to pop up?
There it is.
Good, I didn't hear enough. Okay. We good, Jess? 7-0? Okay, and mine didn't pop up, so I'll refresh and I get it, yeah. Okay, thank you. Passes 7-0. The mission of USD 49 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. Consent agenda. Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, on the consent agenda, you will find, of course, meeting minutes from our last board meeting as well as work session minutes. Disposal of obsolete property is listed there for disposal. Site council minutes from Hayes Middle School, some HRC minutes, an agenda. Of course, the ECC director's report. Personnel transactions, the only thing I want to highlight there is we do have 2 retirements. Pam Griselle, the teacher who's been with the district for 29 years at Roosevelt Elementary, will be retiring, as well as Joel Dreiling, who works for our buildings and ground, has been with the district 11 years. So I'd like to congratulate them. The financials.
A couple of things. One other thing in the personnel, you'll see the addition of an FCCLA sponsor. As a district, we haven't had an FCCLA organization in the past. Talked through the summer, got the details going. They have the program up and running. We're bringing it to you as a new program this year, and then during negotiations, we would negotiate and add it to the master agreement permanently. Also, there's a contract in for asset inventory and inventory process. So we used asset services to provide that service a couple of years ago, and now we're just getting into rotation where we do 1/3 of the buildings every year. Then in the financials, just point out the investment income sheet shows not only interest gain year to date, but also the sales tax that goes towards bond repayment, or towards bond and interest. So that's worth checking out. And in the bond tracking, because we now have the guaranteed max for Laughlin, and we have the estimates, projections, whatever you call it, for the 2 remaining buildings, we went ahead and put those in, and we still have the unallocated amount or the unencumbered amount of 1.8 that's outside of those estimates that are basically just divvying up the other halves. So update, that's up to date. We also have the final invoice for Glassman, so the HVAC project that's been a 3-year project now. We'll have the last invoice, and that'll be done by next meeting.
Good. All right. Anybody have anything they want to discuss on consent agenda before we look for motion?
Asset inventory contract.
That's the contract for.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to pull out the items listed in the surplus items, but however it's
What number? What is that? 2-3?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
We pull 2-3, please, Jess. With 2.3, disposal of obsolete district property being removed, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. Passes 7-0. Next on our agenda is public forum. We have a spot in here for public comment. Is there anybody wishing to speak? Okay, let me read this first and then we'll continue on. The board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined below so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input will be given a chance. Speakers are asked to start with stating their name and address, where they reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make their presentations. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying questions, board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. The board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input that has not already been given will have the chance. Please come forward.
I'm Becky Hill. I live in Hayes. I just wanted to make a comment about, there was an article from the Kansas Policy Institute and then the Sentinel, and it was talking about the Kansas school districts operating cash fund balances jumps up to $1.3 billion. So obviously, if I knew computers, I'd run for this, but I don't. So I just pray that the Lord sends us men and women with integrity and business on all of these funds and all the different cash balances, all the different sections where they file their money, with a wise understanding that could help steward the taxpayers' money. You know, I know you get $18,000 per student from the state. Well, the state doesn't have money, so you're getting it from the taxpayers. So just where all the money goes. I know the big cry in the meetings this year, last year, is against the legislature on not funding the special ed, but they have been. So I just am praying that we don't have bashing of the legislature, but we have an opening up of exactly how and where the funds are and where the money is that's in whatever, wherever it gets saved, wherever it gets stored, wherever it gets stored up, there's a lot of money. Well, the special ed could have used that past couple of years. So anyway, that's my thoughts. You guys have been exposed to some of this. You have some of the information. So I just pray that there's wisdom on researching this out and finding out where all this $1.3 billion is in stored up monies.
Thank you, Becky. And Bill?
Bill Flipsy, 1309 East 21st here at Hayes. I met with a man who is a project manager and another man who is a janitorial service manager of the Shawnee Mission School District. They have gender neutral and traditional restrooms in their school. When I asked them if they get a lot of complaints, I asked them about it, they said they get a lot of complaints from the students who have to wipe down the stools every time before they can sit on them. The school toilet paper usage increased 50%, and they have a lot more clogged stools than they ever had before. There are a lot of concerns about the hygiene of the students having to clean these stools themselves before they can use them. In each stall, there's a canister on the wall that is for feminine product disposal. There are no feminine product dispensers. They said that the boys will urinate all over them and then they can't use them. These men titled these gender-neutral restrooms vape and rape stalls. They don't like them. There's evidence, despite all the surveillance, there is sexual activity and vaping in these stalls. These stalls are not 2x2 squares. They are larger than that. You can get more than one person in them. They reported that they needed cleaned hourly. They can only get to it daily, and it takes a lot longer to clean them than it does traditional stalls. They need resource officer in the hallway close to these stalls at all times. The inside locks on their stalls is not real easy to figure out. A lot of times the stall won't get locked, and then there's an embarrassment because someone opens the door. I asked them if the school board and the public were allowed to view the plans during and after the planning stage. And they answered many times, why wouldn't we want them to be informed? I asked them then if they had any concerns with the public knowing where the security equipment would be kept. Their answer was every person working there would know where those rooms are, and that didn't mean that there would be access to those rooms after they were completed. These bathrooms, according to them, are much more expensive than traditional bathrooms. And I think we have to admit that this is an experiment. Why would we want to experiment with our kids? Try this out on the adult staff first and see how it goes there. A couple of facts that I firmly believe is that this bond never would have passed had these facts been known ahead of time.
Bill, 3 minutes are up. Thank you very much.
I'm Nikki Houchin, 3710 Summer. I was not going to talk about bathrooms, and I won't again. My concern is actually bringing up the safety of our tablets and laptops outside of the schools. And I still would want to bring forward that the school district look at some kind of overarching security for kids, because once they leave the school's internet, they are wide open. And for a parent, I do not let my middle schooler bring their tablet home anymore because he has full access to anything. And as a parent, we can't put any restrictions on the laptop or tablet because they're secured by the schools. So I just would like to bring up again the concept of keeping our kids safe with the internet, and how important that is as a parent to know that the school district is taking further steps to make sure that the laptops and tablets are secure and safe to use outside of the school buildings. That's it.
Thank you. That's everybody? All right. Thank you very much. 4 presentations reports, 4.1, the Hayes Way Minute.
Yeah, tonight we're just going to try and start something just to highlight the exceptional work, achievements, events taking place in our schools, and just celebrate some of the great things going on. And so I've asked the principals just to pop up, so come on, just one by one. Come on up.
I'll start us out. Donna Hudson-Hamilton, Director of Early Childhood Connections. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is last year our parent committee asked us, they were interested in being in the classrooms more and also having some training sessions that were short, not long training sessions. So this year we implemented a Family Fridays where approximately one time a month, they can come and we have Parent Power Hour where we provide a trainer and then they're able to go into the classroom and do activities with their children. I just want to report in September we had 77 parents and in October we had 113. So it is been very well received. So, thank you.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
I'm Renee Kearns, O'Loughlin. One of the things that I'd like to share is each grade level at our school is tasked with some kind of civics project. And so our 5th graders have really enjoyed learning about veterans and about the history of things that are appropriate for them to learn about. But we just had a Veterans Day on Friday, celebration in the morning, and despite the cold weather and rain, we had a great turnout. And so it was really exciting to see those kids sit with people who have experienced things, not only the men, but also the women and wives that have experienced those types of things. So it was a wonderful event that we are very honored. This was our second year to do it, so we hope to continue that tradition. The other thing I'd like to mention is Amber Binder is a K-1 teacher in our building, and she has been selected as the master teacher for the school year. So congrats to her.
Sean Henderson, Hayes High. I've just got a quick list. We've had a Kids Feeding Kids program over the last couple weeks. Hundreds of boxes made, brought in a guest chef, really neat. Teaching as a career, we had a couple of our ESL students really connecting with some students from Wilson. We had that shared today, and any time that the big kids and the younger kids get together is really positive. Debate, we've kind of reinvigorated debate at our school. We had one team already qualified for state and a novice team that won 3 out of 5 tournaments on Saturday, which is really cool. Cheer competed over the weekend over in Ellis and came in first in tumbling and stunts, which is exciting. FFA took a group and was recognized in Indianapolis as one of the top 1% in the nation. Our unified bowling team has been very active. If you've never been to a bowling tournament, I encourage you to go. It's a lot of people cheering for each other, irregardless of the school that you compete for. We've come in first and second recently, which is great. We've sent students to the ARC for different work studies, been very positive. Recently brought in a German guest speaker. Leo Dortzweiler talked to our students. They said it was really, really rewarding. We induct 61 new students to NHS, National Honor Society, tomorrow night. Volleyball was 27-9 on the season, and 5 girls are in the record books. We have a blood drive tomorrow. Stuco has been so active, student engagement and involvement, that they've raised funds to make Indian Call, the dance in the spring, free for every kid in the school. I think that is really, really neat. We are still playing football, and it's November, which is really exciting. And for those of us that were there on Friday night, it was really exciting. 40 degrees and a monsoon, great fun. And which is my next shout out, that the band went. Did not faze them in the slightest, nor did it faze the football team, which is fun. We have a staff versus TMP, Hayes High versus TMP benefit on Wednesday. And the thing I want to end with is that we continue to have our older students working with elementary students, and every time we do, it is a positive. So we were with English and Roosevelt, and now we are adding math and working with the younger students, which is just really fun to see our kids interact.
Thank you.
Wow, I feel like I should have brought a book. So Carrie Lacey from Lincoln, we have stressed for the last 7 years community engagement, community involvement. And just a couple of things that we've done. The month of October was super busy doing things like that. When I first took over the principalship, I decided that we were not going to do Halloween. We wouldn't have Halloween costumes. The heartbreak of parents not bringing them, or students not being able to afford them, all of that good stuff. Instead, we do a fall fest. We have community people that come in. We have 12 different stations. We start at about 10 after 12, and our kiddos rotate through every different station. They learn. The extension office was there with a bike, a blender bike, and they made smoothies. The Hayes High JAG team came over, or class came over, ran lots of gaming things for us. Let's see, what else did we have? Oh my gosh, we had 4-day state, did a glow gym. That was a kiddo favorite. We also have one of our staff members that is Crazy Margot, the scientist, and that's a big hit. That's pretty fun. Taco Shop provided chips and queso for all of our kids for free. So we really have a lot of community involvement. Our kids also went to Paul's Pumpkin Patch, and they also visited the Viner Farm, and I thank you for the pumpkin that you insisted that the kids bring back to me. It was hilarious seeing those kids get off the bus, because the Viner Farm has a lot of big pumpkins, and they had a lot of pumpkins, and there were no restrictions. So it was hilarious. I was like, wow, I don't even know how they're going to get these in their car. So thank you for that, and just having other people in our building and letting them see the great things that we do, and involving our community that's a big plus for Lincoln. Thank you.
So if they can carry it, they can have it.
I am Chris Romick, principal at Roosevelt, and Roosevelt had their 13th annual Veterans Day luncheon on Friday. Our 5th grade students got to serve the veterans their lunch, and our every grade level put on a little performance for them. So it's always great to be able to serve our community and thank them for everything they do for us.
12 hours, oldest person, well, except for Sheedy's behind me. Anyway, real quick, like Hayes Middle School, 3 things that's going on that's pretty cool. So we have never submitted our yearbook to the Kansas Scholastic Press Association. They haven't critiqued, but Jeff Sweeney did that this last summer, and we got the results that the yearbook got 467 out of 500 points, which gave the yearbook the top superior category. So that was very exciting. And then the Kiwanis Club, they asked our current yearbook class this year to make a video to show for their Veterans Day lunch, and she got to show that to our staff, and I also heard from people at the Kiwanis Club it was well received, it was well done. Then finally, our Stuco and leadership students went to a leadership camp, and they were charged to come up with an action plan for something in our school, and they decided that they wanted to put on a safety week based upon the recent bomb threats and other things that were going on. And so they put together a really nice assembly for all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They were each hosted separately their own day. And then the entire week was based on different types of safety tips. So awesome experience for our kids, and it was all done by our kids. So very proud.
Sorry, I was just Googling to see what the Vikings record was compared to the Chiefs.
You have to Google that?
I don't know what is it. I don't pay attention to the Vikings. I just know what the Chiefs are undefeated. Okay, sorry. Anita Sheedy Wilson Elementary. And Ron didn't say we only get a minute, so I'm going to keep it short. But I do want to echo what everybody else said about how important it is to bring community in. And the conversation we had today at our PD Day was we always want to honor veterans, and we do that with the Veterans Day Assembly at Wilson, but we can't invite family members because we don't have room. So we are so excited. In 2 years, we will be able to invite family to come join us at that Veterans Day Assembly. Right now, we invite them in by sharing, one of our teachers, Madison Henningsen, creates a beautiful PowerPoint. Families share their pictures, and we share that with the students so they can celebrate their family members in a different way. But we're excited to be able to celebrate them in person coming soon. So that was an exciting time. Our Veterans Day Assembly is always, the students rise to the challenge of honoring the service and sacrifice of our veterans, and I appreciate that so much. They were so wonderful. On Thursday, our Wilson WOW leaders went to the Rose Garden to help with the Veterans Day luncheon, sponsored by the VFW, I believe, in the community. And they serve our veterans and always come back. Just, that's a changing experience because you get to honor somebody who also has served part of their lifetime honoring and protecting and sacrificing for others. So they did a great job serving them. Other things that are happening at Wilson that we're super excited about, we received another grant for our book vending machine. So that's coming, and anytime we can put books in students' hands, we're excited about that. And coming next month to all K2 in the district, we have an author visit, Dennis Matthew, and part of his presentation, we get him to come by buying a book for every student. So the foundation supported that, and every student will go home that day with a book. So supporting literacy is one of our goals.
Thank you. Next is 5-1 Superintendent Report.
Yeah, just running through a few things real quickly. Bond update, we have set the ribbon cutting open house for December 2nd at 5:30. Board members will be getting personal invites, as well as some other people who were important to getting this accomplished. That will be coming soon. We have made probably finalized plans for the move, which will occur on the 25th and 26th of November. We pretty much have it all set, and hopefully it will go as smoothly as it looks on a piece of paper. Hayes High, last couple weeks, we have done lots of tours. We've had a couple of tours for the Hayes City Commission, and as well as a tour for the Vote Yes Committee. And Sean has been taking sections of his, or departments of Hayes High school staff on different days out to the site just to kind of share the progress, and hearing so much positive feedback about what they're seeing, and so excited for the future. I've also included the PD schedule that was completed today in our buildings. I don't know if there's anything specific. If you have any questions, we can answer those. As far as the FTE headcount, Chris, I'll let you want anything.
So if you remember, the school funding is based on your FTE or full-time equivalent. At budget time, we're estimating for the upcoming school year. Then on September 20th is our count date. For the weeks following that until October 4th is when we actually conduct and submit our count. So what you're looking at right now is our SO66 count, and that's what we'll be funded on until like December 20th, I think, is when we start our KSDE audit. That'll go on for a couple of weeks, and then a month or two after that, we'll get what's called our audited legal max. But all of our funding and preparation right now, we adjust budget legal max to match our SO66 for right now. A couple of things that stand out, I guess, is if you look and see our total weightings down there towards the bottom. Total weightings are what the funding is based on. That's down a little bit year over year because of some of the weightings that play in there. The virtual count is actually up though, and those two basically wash each other out. If you go up more to the top, the head count was down 8, but our FTE is up 4. The total weightings changed around a little bit, but overall, bottom line is we're very close to what our budgeted FTE was, and so not much for adjustments in the budget right now to adapt to the SO66 number.
That's it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments for them?
Chris, could you send the board that SO66 report, please?
The head count? Yeah.
No, the head count, the whole report.
The entire thing?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I'll put it here in the right here at board docs for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are you want to talk about the superintendent evaluation, or you want me to?
Yeah, I just included that, and if you have any questions, you can talk to Kurt or Jamie.
Yep, and if you, and we're going to meet then with Ron and come up with his goals, and then what we expect to qualify as meeting those goals, and then we will, next meeting, go into exec and make sure that those are agreeable by all 7, and go from there. Okay? All right. We're ready for 6, action and discussion items, fleet management program.
So, Ken here with Enterprise spoke at our work session last month. I guess the update I would give, we spent since our work session, last couple of weeks, not only working with Enterprise, also following up with a dozen plus references, as well as working with Lewis Auto Group to be able to compare what a dealership option might look like. So we feel like we've vetted extremely well the Enterprise services. We feel like we've honed in very tightly and have a very good handle on what the fleet rotation would look like with Enterprise, and feel like we had a good partner in Lewis to be able to give us something to compare it to. And they work very hard. We're a great partner, created a strong proposal, but in the end, when we put the two side by side, we did this with Lewis and with Enterprise. Based on our fleet and our needs, the recommendation is to go with Enterprise for fleet management. And I guess Russ and Ken are here. If you've got questions or any follow-up, we'd be happy to answer.
So is Lewis in agreement?
Yeah.
too, Chris, that it was?
Yeah, we talked on Friday after, I mean, it took us right until Friday afternoon to get everything as close to apples and apples as possible. Their lease structure is just a little bit different, and honestly, that's really the only thing that separates us based on our needs. They did a good job, put a good proposal together, and like I said, I think, well, I don't want to speak for Lewis. I know I learned a lot going through the process and working with both options, the enterprise equity model and then what Lewis was able to do. But again, based on our fleet, and Lewis agrees, this is the right way to go. And I appreciate that as a partner in them also as a community partner, and they wanted to make sure that everybody knew, hey, we're still a community partner, we're still in, but this is the model that we feel like we need to go with.
Yeah, and I appreciate Lewis reaching out to the district as well because of their partnership with just all schools in general, so we appreciate that.
So Chris, could you explain that again? You said that Lewis said they can't match it or they don't want to try to do that?
Oh, no, they put together a strong proposal. In the end, basically the model that Enterprise offers, based on that, so at term, by the time you run through term, because of the equity that we can build in with the Enterprise model and because of the national scale, the 700,000 cars a year that Enterprise is marketing and auctioning, the equity side of it is just stronger than what we could get at any dealership level. Now, when it comes to putting on paper a great lease price and a great lease model, Lewis could do that. They worked really hard to put that together, but the equity model that Enterprise has just means that over time we save money based on the size of our fleet.
Is there a reason, I mean, at our last work session, we had a lot of time and we asked a lot of questions and we saw what they had proposed. Is there a reason why we weren't offered that same with Lewis?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is, because Enterprise is bid through Sourcewell, they're part of a purchasing cooperative, all of their information is out and public.
Okay.
If you were to choose to not go with Enterprise and we were to go bid services, Enterprise, basically Lewis put together what would be the equivalent of a bid. If I share that now and you go to bid, they are at a debilitating disadvantage to anybody else who would bid that same service. So I talked with Brad and we went through this and he agreed. It's not in their best interest for me to share their lease. It is my recommendation based on what he had that we go with Enterprise. If you don't want to go with Enterprise and you want to bid it, then we would put it out to bid, and Lewis then would be able to submit their bid along with any other dealer and along with Enterprise. But if I put that out there in the public now, the next dealer could go beat them by $1 because they've already seen what they put together.
I make a motion to enter an equity lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Yes, the process bothers me. When we're getting at something like this and this amount, I think they had a great presentation. It looks really good. They got great references. I agree with that. But I also like to see us offer it and have a fair bidding process. So that's why I'm going to vote no.
Okay. I contacted or had a discussion with one of our county commissioners and a couple of other personnel from schools, and they are very impressed with what Enterprise has offered them and the bidding process and getting value for their cars and keeping them up to date. And they said, responded back to me that they think it's a very good deal to go into this kind of thing, and you're continuously have updated vehicles. So I will vote yes.
Well, I just kind of agree with Alan that let's bid, see what everybody's going to do, and then make a decision from there. So I disagree with just, I guess not putting it out for bid.
And I guess I would say that Lewis did reach out to each one of us board members, so I appreciate Brad and his team reaching out. Talk to some as well of what they do in the community as far as their fleet goes. I have to give respect to those like Chris for taking over, talking to both of them.
So knowing your knowledge of it as well, along with Russ's and Enterprises too, because when I did talk to some of the Lewis fellows too, they said Enterprise does have a lot more cars that we can look at. So opening it up to other dealerships, they didn't reach out either, so it might be something they don't want to touch. So I don't want to expose them if they don't want that either. So I would vote yes on the Enterprise fleet.
Anybody else? Good. All right, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no.
No.
Passes 5-2.
Passes 5-2. Thank you. I don't remember your name, but thank you for coming. Yep. And along with Chris and Russ for doing their work and going through those bids for us. Or bid. All right, next.
Honestly, thank you. That is so much work that you put in. Like, I just made like 3 or 4 phone calls, and that was enough work just to ask those questions. The amount of work that you put into this was very
Again,
incredible.
Russ and Lewis, it was a really good team effort to come to what is.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of work. That was a lot.
His name's Ken. I got it now.
Thanks, Ken. That's a lot of work.
All right, next up on action discussion items is 6.2, employee benefits survey results.
Yeah, so we've got.
Wait. You skipped one. I have 6.2 is the disposal of obsolete district property.
No, I put that on 6.
Oh, I did not update. I did not update. So.
Oh, so it's just not the same?
6.4.
So we all need to update, is that
If you
it?
refresh it, I 6.2.
Sorry. I did one time.
Yeah, you were right.
Oh, I was.
I did not update.
Did we get that on camera?
Okay, good, thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
You were right.
6.2 is.
Hold on, let me.
Okay, so we've got a couple of representatives from Gallagher Group, who's our benefits broker.
That's right.
Al and Brian Rose is going to spend time talking to you, survey staff around our current benefits package and ideas going forward too. Spend some time sharing that with the board.
Good evening. I'm Mike Howell. I think you guys were given a handout that was sent out to you. Did you guys get a chance to look at it at all? I want to kind of know how much detail I need to go into. Yes, we did look at it.
It's here.
Okay. I've been working with the district since 2017, and we progressed from different things back to where the district had 2 plans that were offered to the state of Kansas. Predominantly everyone but 13 people were enrolled in the same plan. Today we have 4 plans, the same 4 plans that we started with back in 2018. So we've not changed benefits each year. Really held rates flat for about 5 years. And we're beginning to see some adjustments in the rates. Well, as we've done that and we come up, the utilization's catching up with not having rate increases, basically would be the reason for that. As we've done that, the district has locked into where they're paying 100% of a single plan. So we had a meeting, and this kind of came up last year during open enrollment with school employees coming up to say, look, why is the dependent coverage expensive? Why is it going up? And the district pays a large contribution, $1,050 a month towards dependent coverages. But they pay for 3 of the 4 plans, they pay the single plan. So as last year when the rates went up 6%, which was in line with running at 104% loss ratio, that was a very good renewal. There was an increase of cost that went up $400,000, which the singles were not affected whatsoever, which is 66% of the group. 300 of those, of the 480-some people enrolled are single coverages. Unless they were enrolled in option 1, they didn't see any type of rate increase. And so we were hearing it during the meetings, and the NEA folks who were on the insurance committee were hearing it. So we had a conversation back in May when this was going on. And so they invited us out, and we went and met with the NEA people and said, look, here's what we see. So this handout was put together, was presented to them to explain that when you're paying 100% of something, there isn't a value that's associated with it. Because if we were to ask a single person in the district, what's the insurance cost, they would tell you nothing. But to the district, it's $9,960 a person is what it costs to provide that benefit. And so we thought, well, I don't know exactly how people are enrolled. So we did a survey. We've done 5 surveys with the district since we got involved. The early ones were just kind of more knitting to find out the education of the group and stuff like that. But we went through it. Well, you have 4 medical options. You have basically 80% of the folks are not spending the 20% of the expense of $6 million in claims. So it's come down to about 28 folks drive the bus from the standpoint of cost, which is very normal in any group situation. So you have a lot of people who they got a rate increase, but they're not necessarily using the plan. And so they moved to different plans. I've showed in the information kind of the transition as people move to those different plans. But what we had talked about was when you have a 100% paid plan and you have people who take it. So in the survey, we did ask some questions in the survey that said, are you covered by additional medical coverage? And we had 32 folks answer yes. Now, granted, we only had 50% of the total population answered the survey. So 32 people there. Then we had another question in the survey, are you eligible for coverage of anywhere else, spouse or parents? And we had 81 folks answered yes. And so we had also done a survey, the last survey, to find out we have basically 32 folks that are Medicare eligible. But when they look at a single plan that costs nothing, they go, well, that's a better deal, I'm going to enroll in that. The problem is, if they go in and have a hip replacement, they'll spend more money on the medical plan here with their out-of-pocket, but they don't understand that. I mean, it's not comprehended that way. Very first year, I had people who caught on to that because I was part of my presentation, and they moved. But we have people who look and say, well, this one's free, it's got to be better. Well, it's not necessarily better. But again, that average age over 65 drives the cost of the district. And if it's not a better benefit for the employees to educate them to go, make the better decision is what we tried to do with folks in these meetings. So as we went through this, we were trying to explain to the NEA that there's a pool of money that pays for benefits that comes out of that pool that the state gives you guys to run the district. And if you're paying for benefits for folks who really don't need them, but they take them because they're free, that's not necessarily a good thing. And the dependents took it last year. They took a pretty large rate increase on themselves because all the increases were passed on to them because the singles were paid at 100%. And so we gave them the information and tried to explain that. If you start looking at how big these numbers get, if 30 folks who are double covered didn't have double coverage, it saves the district about $300,000.
Mike, can you tell me what page you're on?
I'm on the last page right now.
Okay, thank you.
I skipped back to the back page. If you had 40 folks the district wasn't paying for the benefit from that single, it's about $400,000, $398,000. So just pure education for some of the Medicare folks added into that, this is a huge number, and the number could actually be then presented back into making the coverage not as expensive for the dependents coverages, where you have someone here who's the breadwinner, they have 2 children, they're on a family plan. When it goes up 6% and the premiums, $1,800, that's a big hit to them. Even though we adjusted a raise or something, it eats up their raises. The singles have not seen an increase in 7 years. So think about where you work or where you are. Have you not seen a rate increase in your medical coverage in 6 years? And so I'm not picking on the singles. I'm saying if the coverage is there, but if you had a plan that was free or you made a minimal contribution to it, you would have people not take it because it's free. The free is the problem with what I see with medical insurance. The concept, it should never be free. It makes a non-decision making for the employees, which it backfires into the group because the group's spending money needlessly, I would say, to do that. So we put a lot of information here. We gave you the current plans, what the contributions are on one of the pages, so you have those. Example of just trying to educate them. The folks this year that took on the single, that took the option number 1, and they're paying $727 a year to have that plan, are going to get less benefit if they were in option 2 and didn't pay anything. The out-of-pocket maximum on option 2 is $500 more than option 1, and they're paying $727 to have that plan. So just trying to educate that may not be the right idea. It's just how the rating came out this last year. But we tried to explain that in the meetings, and we did have some shift of people who went away from that. But we still have people who don't come to a meeting. They don't come in for the the enrollments and stuff like that. So they kind of don't hear what we're saying. So between the Medicare education, that you can't educate them if it's free, because you're talking to a wall. You want to spend some money to have health insurance, or you want the free one? It doesn't matter what it is, but if they're older and they're having a hip done, or you're having some surgeries, or you're having something done, Medicare to them is going to pay better than your medical plans. It's just a fact. That's how it works. So we gave the numbers. There is a whole survey I think Chris could be shared with you guys on the questions. I think the folks in the district are becoming more educated. You can see they're spread out. They're making decisions differently. They come to the meetings. They do reach out in the meetings, or in the survey. We did find that we had done one-on-one meetings about 3 years ago before the COVID thing hit, and then we really weren't doing one-on-ones, and we went away from it. But we had some folks saying, really, we want to be better educated, because out here for years, everyone enrolled in the same plan. That's all there was. And the year I came in, everyone was in the same plan, although the state offered 4 plans. Everyone was in the same medical plan because it was free. And that's the changing that is tied into negotiations things. And I don't have any skin in the game to make this better for either one. I'm trying to make the best thing for both. So the district was saving money, was allowed to put the money back into the till that helped those dependents. It makes it a better deal. Singles may have to pay a nominal contribution, but the ones who don't take it, that money gets put back into the system to help pay for the dependent coverages. So happy to answer any questions that you have.
So I guess my first question would be, how do we educate our staff on this?
How do we do it?
Yeah, how do we do that?
In the past, well, initially when we came out and we offered the plans, we actually went to every building. We had a staff of 5 people that came out. We rotated every meeting. If anyone wanted to come in and do the enrollment, we could do that. At the time, that was an online, that was a paper, visually paper enrollment, which was very hard. They had to fill out forms, so it took longer to do. We did that for like 3 years. We got into the COVID times, and we couldn't have on-staff meetings, so we did virtual. So we put it on, if they wanted individual help, they basically should say between 9 and 11, or between, in the afternoon, and we would personally call them and walk them through the enrollment itself. This last year, we had brewing like 117 of the 223 people who answered the survey attended one of the meetings that we had. We had 3 meetings out here in the district they could come to on an off day. We had, I can't remember the number, I have it somewhere here, but I'm not seeing on the page, but we had a large number of people say they'd like to have those meetings back. When you get to the time of enrollment, everyone's busy, and it's like, I don't have time to go listen, I don't have time to do that. But they're making $1,000 decisions, whether they realize it or not. So there was always a passion with me is to educate. Buy the best plan that makes sense. If you notice the trend, we've had a lot of people shift to the high deductible health plan. And it makes more sense for folks. The district makes a contribution to it, then they have money put away, so they have 2 or 3 good years if something happens, they have money to pay for those things. And it's a lesser cost plan than the bridge plan that you pay for that very few people. If you take the entire group, this is the statistic that jumps out. You have different out-of-pockets on the plans, but you had, in this group, 620 of the 482 members did not have $1,000 in expenses in the plan. Doesn't mean out of pocket. That means they went to the doctor, it was $20, but the doctor charged $117. Or they went in and had lab work and an office visit, it was $400 and they paid $20 for it. So it's not what they had out of pocket, I'm talking about the expense. So that's a large portion of the group. You have 3 folks in the district, and I'm just not picking on them, there's no names, but 36% of the spend was on 3 members. And that's kind of how group insurance works. We had a very large claim fall off. We had another one just pop on last month. So we have a large claimant that's in there, and you're going to have those. But the bulk of the folks, when they bought the plan, everyone just bought the lowest out-of-pocket plan they could buy. And then when you looked at it, they weren't getting any more benefit out of that if they had the next one. Because they weren't going in the hospital, they were just going for office visits, they were doing lab work, they were doing stuff. The plans were the same.
So have we ever had lower claims than our premium in the district?
You had very good claims. We had really good claims. If you go to the second page of what I passed out, in 2018, after we took over the plan, you had a 2.5% rate decrease that year. The next 2 years, you had a flat rate. This is back when the trends were running at 10 to 13% in medical, and you guys were staying flat.
So if we were under, what happens to those funds? If we were under our premium?
You were under the premium. It was fully insured, so it wasn't.
So we don't get the money back?
No, you don't get the money back. But what's happened is you've gotten it back the last 3 years because we've negotiated off. If you look at last year, you ran 104% of the premiums that were paid in. The target would be 83% for them to pay admin. We get paid out of that. So if you take that, it was running you should be at 83% loss rate. You ran at 104 for the year. You got a 6% rate increase. So you got some of that back then, but you're not self-funded. We've looked at that. The time comes to be self-funded. It's hard to do it when you have an $800,000 claim there, and we have some of the prescription use that we have in the group. Until we can get a handle on that, it's going to be harder to move that direction. But it's obviously something we've discussed every year in the insurance committee.
So I guess it sounds to me like it's education, not educating our staff. And like you said, especially the Medicare, makes absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense that they wouldn't be taking Medicare over this plan. The cost to the district, if you're insured, I think it just needs to be, if you're insured elsewhere, you don't get it. I mean, that's a cost to the taxpayers that are paying for this plan. So to me, it needs to be whatever we need to do as a board, even to implement that they attend these sessions so they understand. Maybe we pick those people out that are costing and say, hey, obviously you don't understand. I'm not saying that we have to force them to it.
We can't do that. That's illegal.
Right, but it's a matter of educating them to understand what it is that they're not understanding, especially the Medicare. Especially the Medicare. Same way with the ones that are under 26. You can be under your parents, so you're 26, then you have to have health insurance, whether it's Obamacare or whatever. That's law. Correct? Am I correct? So to me, it's a matter of education. Am I missing that?
And we've put in a huge effort to do that. I mean, and having the committee, we've met quarterly. We started doing that when Chris and Ron came in, and we had, initially we had 25, 26 people showing up for that. It's kind of fell off. The last one we had, I think we only had 14 showed up, so we've lost some folks. But they take the information back to the board. I mean, I've been involved since we've been in the district, day one. When we originally came in, you'd have thought the sky was falling. We were changing from Blue Cross. We were all, everything's going to go bad. and it's really changed. The survey, if you go through, there's some people saying, well, we'd like to look at Blue Cross, we'd like to look at this. Hey, my buddy works in this district and their rates are cheaper. Their benefits aren't the same. I mean, there's just so many variables, so you can't make comments like that off of this. But your district has really ran well from a standpoint, and we've been able to maintain the same level of benefits. Whereas a lot of times you get a rate increase, people say, well, we're going to go from a $2,000 deductible to the best plan is going to be at $3,500. Which in this case wouldn't be the end of the world, because the person would actually come out ahead with what they pay to have the benefits, except for it's paid at 100%. So the 100%, when it becomes free, no one wants to be educated. It's free. It's like the cost. If you have something and it's free, we don't think about it. There's no reason to explain to them that the district's paying $9,000 for that benefit. They know it's free. And that's the problem. So and I've been doing this for 40 years, and it's not just school district, it's everything. So, yes.
So we have, you said 400 and some employees that are participating. How many are not? And the reason they're not is there are some of them on Medicare and some of them are insured with their parents.
They have it through their parents or their spouse. A lot of people here have it through their spouse. But yeah, you have 482 employees enrolled in the district plan.
Okay, so do we have people on the other end? You're talking about the older senior veteran teachers and the younger end. Are we encouraging them not to take it if they're on their parents? Because I think if your numbers of your group, you need numbers to have a good group. 400 and some people now. You don't want your group size to go down too much. But you say if you take the upper 32 people out, it's going to help our expenses. But we're also lowering our group size. And how is that going to affect our?
Well, the problem is I can't underwrite or tell you that's true or false from this standpoint. If you take someone like, I'm 63, okay, I am way more expensive to insure than a 30-year-old. Okay, so if I went to the exchange or someplace, my rates are going to be twice as much. So yes, if you had Medicare age people who came off the plan, it would lower the demographic age. If you had the 26-year-olds or 25-year-olds that are enrolling because it's free, you say, yeah, that helps the age. But they're also in a childbearing age. And we all don't know what's going to happen with an accident. What a 25-year-old does on the weekend is different than a 50-year-old sometimes. So they have accidents. So you can't underwrite by age only. We really don't know that. But what I can do is if the district's paying X for this many people, you have 300 singles enrolled in the plan. If they need the coverage, it should be affordable and they should have it. I'm not trying, again, I don't have any skin in the game to say take something away. I've been very supportive of not changing the plans and doing that. And we've negotiated very well each year for the district. But the problem is, I get to talk to the people the last 7 years, and I just think it's free. I might as well take it.
But according to the survey, you have 36% of survey responses have coverage available elsewhere. So if I'm employed by the district and my spouse has it, I'm still getting the one here and having my spouse's, which is no benefit here because I'm covered under my spouse, correct?
That's correct. So that's costing the district.
So that's a cost to the district. So Chris, I'm going to go to you. So the savings that we would save there if they don't take that, okay, so I'll just use me as an example. Let's say I work for the district and my husband's is with the county. This is way better than this one, okay? So that funds that we would save, we could turn around and give to the employee in what? Better increase in salaries? Or
Typically,
per hour?
negotiations, yes. We say, okay, we've got this much money, this much of it's going to get taken up by insurance, the rest of it's available for raise or new positions or anything like that. So yes, if you taking out of that pot, if you're taking less for health insurance, you can do one of the, I think a couple of the conversation could be increase the contribution towards dependent plans or just redistribute it back across as raises to everyone across the board.
And so we can't present it that way? That's not illegal to present it that way?
Oh, no, yeah, that's...
Yeah, either way, I don't care. I'm just saying, I can't change an expense that's being paid at 100% based on people. You have 81 people who have it available to them.
Needs to be
other
changed.
than, and we have 32 that are double covered. And then we have 32 Medicare. So if you go to that back page, you start looking at the numbers. I'm not saying it's got to be 70 people, but if it was, that's almost $700,000 the district has to either put in salaries or help with independent coverage, and it really doesn't change a lot.
So Ruth, I'll give you a little bit on the other side. I know that when I was on negotiations, there was this discussion, and so I was on the family plan, and so like my plan was often the one taking the hit. But the discussion of, well, if, we save money here, we can put it back into salary is often a discussion had, but it's not necessarily a discussion that you can hold somebody to. So I'm not saying this is the case, just so we're on the same page. So it could be a discussion of, we can save $400,000 and put it back into salary, but there's like no way to guarantee that they keep putting that into salary every time, which is probably where the hesitation has come from on the other side. Like, yes, we can put it into salary this year, but what about next year? What about the year after? So that might be an area of concern on one end, but I cannot speak for them now. I do not know.
Well, and you can have one employee that costs, I mean, if they have brain surgery, I mean, that one employee can cost the district that, but overall, I mean, to me, the under 26, if you have coverage elsewhere, and the Medicare do not make sense to me at all.
I have a quick question. Of this, the 14% other medical coverage is at 32, 36% survey coverage available elsewhere is 81. Is that 100% of our staff being surveyed, or what?
That's only like 50% of your staff.
So it could be double.
Yeah, so these are very pessimistic numbers.
Yeah.
Could be double, or it could be a quarter.
Well, it's at least that, if they've surveyed. Those numbers, if they've only surveyed 50% and they got those numbers, you're not going to go any lower than that, are you?
Percentage-wise, you absolutely could. Because
Percentage-wise, but number-wise, you're not.
Numbers-wise, no. Percentage-wise,
Right.
yes.
You're still going to have 32 and 81
Yes.
at 50%. The only way,
I thought you were talking percentages, my bad.
they're only going to go up. The numbers could only go up.
This was 223 out of the 400.
223, okay.
Yeah,
And when was,
it's on the third page.
and what year was this?
This is for this year.
This year, okay, thank you.
This year's survey, we had 223,
So how long ago this year?
a month and a half ago.
I have another question about those
Thank you.
numbers, about, where it says, so are you covered by any additional medical insurance? That seems pretty clear cut, right? Like
That's
you're,
clear cut.
that's clear cut. But if you're eligible for coverage anywhere else, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's free.
Well, we put
Right, is that
spouse
explained?
or dependent. We put-
Right, but if I enroll on my husband's coverage, it still costs us an additional like twice as much every month for me to go on that plan. Like, actually 3 or 4 times as much as it does for him to have coverage. And he covers my son, right? So my son is eligible for coverage over there, but it still costs significant. Is that explained? Like, is that also part of this? Because that feels squishy.
In reality, generally speaking, the family's just going to be the most expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
When you have an employee and spouse, and the employee spouse, and we have, hang on. So we have employee and spouses, we have only 43 enrolled in the medical plan.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that they're the breadwinners, or their husband's a farmer and they're buying in here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can get that one. The 77 employee and children makes sense because it's cheaper to buy an employee and child and someone take a single than to pay for the family.
Sure does.
So that one makes sense, and that's been the most affordable plan. That's why we give 77. We only have 62 families enrolled, and I don't think they're double covering. So where I'm telling you the double coverage is coming is the singles. We have 300 singles enrolled in the plan. That's 62% of the population. We only had 223 people out of the 484. So the singles are the ones who predominantly carries the most weight of the survey that didn't participate. And that's why I put in my comments, it would have been nice to have a larger participation.
Yeah.
Because it would have given me a better clear. But we're not presenting this as saying, well, this is the maximum, this is where we're going to go. We're doing it off of less than half the people and giving you numbers that say this would be potential savings, which is pretty realistic.
So, Mr. President, so question, so how do we work, like Jamie's case, where you have two spouses in the district? Do they have each individual, or one takes a thing, or can you do a whole family plan that covers the whole group? Is it cheaper than having two singles?
We give, if both spouses work in the district, they get the equivalent of the two singles. We allow them to enroll in the same plan, but we give them the benefit of each individual.
Explain
that. They get $1,660 contribution versus the $1,050 that you get on just a family, or the $830 that you just get on a single. They get double the single.
So is that save us money as a district?
It costs us exactly the same. It saves them because they only have one deductible. They're enrolled in one plan, so it's a benefit to them. It costs us. We set it up so where it costs us exactly the same. So if it's two, if they're just enrolling in an employee spouse, we give them the equivalent of two employee only. If they have kids and they enroll in a family plan, we give them the equivalent of one single and one employee children. The 1050. So it costs us exactly what it would have cost us if they were not enrolled together, but we allow them to enroll.
So does it cost the employee?
That's just.
Or is it cost them less than to take two singles?
Say again?
Does it cost them less to take two singles?
No.
Say if they don't have children, so no?
No.
On the dental plan, I think it does because of the max out of pockets on it. But on the medical, no. They're much better off enrolling
As a family?
spouse because then they're sharing the family
Deductible.
Makes sense. So you're a broker, right? And so do you just handle one medical coverage, or do you have multiple?
No, we can have everything in the rainbow. We represent Blue Cross and United, all the self-funded, everything. So we've looked, and we've done the precursor to say, do we make a change? When you're not getting a rate increase, and you have Aetna stuffed up and gave $30,000 so people can use the fitness stuff here. They paid that. When COVID was going on, they bought thermometers for everyone to do the testing and stuff. They've been a pretty good partner with you in the district. But I don't. To me, it's whatever the best deal is. If you're not getting rate increases, you're getting half a trend. I don't suggest that you move if you're staying fully insured, because you're very limited to 3 different carriers out here that are going to be fully insured.
Are the deductibles comparable, or are they higher with that?
Your deductibles are lower than most because there's no co-insurance, and that's what makes these plans pretty rich. Deductibles apply when you go in the hospital, outpatient surgeries, you're doing diagnostic tests. That's less than 10% of the population. So whether you have a $2,000 deductible or $3,500, it's irrelevant. When you go to the doctor, it's a $20 copay. And so if you go into the hospital, once you meet your deductible, there's no co-insurance. The 80/20 or the 60/40 or something pays after that. So someone has a catastrophic year at option number 1. They end up in the hospital. The most they're going to spend being in the hospital is $2,000. Now, if they have a bunch of drugs and stuff like that, they're going to have co-pays. Those are the same under all the plans. So your out-of-pocket exposure here is $3,500. Most of the state plans out-of-pocket maximum to $6,300. You still have one at $35, at $4, at $5, and then we have one at $6. And again, you have 10% of the population can benefit by being in the first one, but 90% of the population are overpaying in premiums to have option 1. And it used to be a much higher percentage. It used to be 95% were doing that. So people who've emerged, the dependents have changed to go to the plan that makes the most sense. And we've educated them on the high deductible health plans and have a deal here where the district gives them a contribution because the premiums are less, that they get to build up money in an HSA account to do that.
So I do think it's worth noting, everything I learned about health insurance was against my will. Being an adult, I guess you have to do that. But I came up with a spreadsheet and I ran every single scenario, option 1, option 2, option 3, and the high deductible plan. And I put into the spreadsheet how much it would cost me every month to have it. And then I ran different scenarios on what it would cost for me, specifically in my family, to use it. And every single scenario that I personally ran for myself, I came up with a low spending year where like I was relatively healthy and my family was all excellent. I came up with a mid-level spending year, and I did the absolute worst case scenario. And the high deductible plan ended up saving me money because of the HSA. And so that is what I went forth with. Now, other teachers in the building are coaching, they are running clubs and sponsoring things, they are grading, they are doing all sorts of things, and a lot of them did not have time to go to the meeting, even though they did a great job. During the time, it was like there was evening times, there was morning times, there was all sorts of different times that they could go, but they still did their due diligence, and they still came and they talked to others around them to figure out what was going on. And I shared that spreadsheet with many teachers and said, this is what worked for me specifically, this was on the plan. Some teachers asked for that spreadsheet, some teachers asked to run a couple more scenarios on that spreadsheet. And so like they are educating themselves. I don't know about now, but that was 2-3 years ago. I do know that people learn best when they can see. People learn best visually. Not all of the population, but most of the population, if they can see it, they can understand it. Is there a way that we can come up with a visual scenario runner to send out to teachers to do on their own time?
I can hear you.
Like a visual, like a visual scenario suggestion tool. Like I know for the state, they have Alex.
Right.
And that is very helpful because I did my little calculations next to Alex and it was pretty spot on. Is there something like that for the teachers?
You can actually buy the product, Alex, and put it in any group where it's a visual and it calculates all this stuff for you. The states put that in, and it's nice. I think their participation in that is probably lower than what we have here with people getting a call or go one-on-one. Because if I'm talking to you and you're giving me, here's what's going on in my world, I have a cheat sheet in front of me that says, here's what you're going to pay annually. And you hit the nail on the head. There's 2 costs to health care. There's a cost that you have to have it, so you're going to pay something to have every month, which in this scenario, we have some that don't pay anything, so that's real easy. And then if I go to use it, what's it going to cost me to do that? And the people who take time to do that, which they hear me say it every year, and they say, why does he keep saying it? Because it's the same thing every year. That's what you need to do. We put out scenarios 2 years ago during open enrollment where we put out a bunch of information on how to make the right decisions. Here's some drug tips. And then here are scenarios plans. You go in the hospital, you have this happen, and we had the different plans. We gave them that information to get them thinking along those lines. But again, when I look at the utilization of the group, you have a large number of people who don't use the plans.
So I do have another question. Now we have like the cost to have it and the cost to use it. And so now it's sounding like if we can kind of cut back, trim a little bit, there's like a cost to others to have it. I don't know if that's the appropriate name for this category. I'm spitballing here, so please don't attack me with that. My question is, and I need a visual for this, there's a pot, and the pot holds all of the money, and the pot has subcategories, and you can only take from this subcategory for this, and it's blah, 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 blah. That's organization, funding, whatever. What subcategory, so like the subcategory for salary, that's where we pay the teachers, that's where we pay the health insurance, right? What else comes out of that subcategory?
So employee compensation is what you're talking about. The other things that are in there, I mean, so you've got your health, you've got FICA, you've got work comp, you've got the other ancillary benefits, so the dental and vision. anything that is employee benefit and is employee compensation is one pot. I think it's divided out.
Okay, so are administrators in the same health insurance category, like you guys get the same health insurance that the staff does?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, sorry, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So is there a way, like I really do think teachers are just worried that if they say, okay, we'll do this, we'll pay the 5%, and you're gonna save $400,000, which I don't think any teacher wants to be like, no, we're not gonna save the district money. Like, don't get me wrong, I think teachers want that. But is there a way that we can word that to ensure them that this money is coming back to them, not just for 1 year, but like, is there a way that we can say, this is the benefit that you will be saving, and we can give it back to you in this manner if you choose not to take it?
Okay, I'm confused when she keeps saying teachers. This is not full-time people?
This is all full-time people. Yeah,
Okay,
this is all,
okay, so it's not just teachers.
No,
This is
it's-
cooks, this is bus drivers, this is
Right,
everybody.
yes.
Okay,
I'm-
okay.
and I mean, we haven't, like, we can report it back to you at whatever level, but at the largest level, it's employee compensation. Yeah.
So is there a way that we can put it into, well, I don't know, because, well, then that changes things, because like, the way that you negotiate with teachers is very much different than the way that everybody else is. So I don't.
Which makes me wonder, are our full-time cooks, our full-time bus drivers, all those people, are they looking at this or coming to the meeting or whatever it is that we're missing out? Prescription claims is a huge one that I saw in this at $2,164,000. It'd be interesting to see out of that, how many could be on the Medicare plan. That.
And we don't
I know
get
you
it
don't,
by
I know you
lines,
don't
I
do
pay
that,
by the name.
but it's like you said, if, once you hit 50, we all know, your claims are higher, your prescription drugs are higher. I mean, that's not rocket science. That's just,
We get, from a standpoint, we know what those types of prescriptions are. They're not necessarily help the elderly.
Right.
Those Epic.
It can be diabetic, it can be,
There's the
yeah.
arthritis medications. A lot of those are, $60,000 hit a year on each script per person. We get a list of those, so we know what those are. But I can't say, well, that's Betty, and Betty's a cook, and Betty should be on Medicare. We don't get that.
Right. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it'd be interesting to know.
Do you even know that?
Out of that,
Public
the list.
information?
I mean, because like you have it split up.
is that legal to know
Premiums,
that? I don't
medical
think that's
claims were
legal.
$4,400,000. Prescription
public
claims,
enemy, I don't know
total
that.
claims were $6 million. And then you have all that listed, and you have the three largest claims listed. For a total of $1,621,000, or 36% of the total claim. You have all that listed there.
Right.
So it'd just be interesting to know, because I was getting confused when Janie kept saying teachers. I was like, okay, I thought this was supposed to be all
No, it is
employees that are
everybody.
full-time. So, okay, I just wanted to clarify.
It is.
That was correct, okay.
I guess we could absolutely run a scenario of, right now, here is the current pot of money. If there were 10 people that were not in the plan, this is how much the raise could be if we divided evenly among everybody. So that would be classified, certified, anybody, all staff, right? We could absolutely do that. I guess one thing, when you say year after year, well, in order to do that, so we can run that based on the current scenario today and estimates of what might happen if we went to 98%, 2% out of your pocket, or whatever, 95, 5, whatever. We could run that scenario. But then the trust, through negotiations, we would have to come up with, okay, what actually happens after open enrollment, right? Because we wouldn't really know. So we could say, yes, here's our baseline, any change in the health plan, and we would add that into the raise this way. But that would have to be, we'd have to agree on how we say that, but I think that could be worked out. One thing that you said to ensure that it's there year after year, the good thing is we're kind of talking about a one-time deal, because once someone leaves the plan and we redistribute that money into wage or the salary schedule, it doesn't come back out. So it's not like something you got to worry about year after year. Once you go to this, you would see an evolution in the plan, and you would be able to adjust for that one-time change. And then after that, you're still back to the same conversation at negotiations time. Here's how much money we have. How much do you want to put here, and how much do you want to put there?
And
What you're saying is if we had X amount of money and we gave them they divided out, we gave them a raise, so if I went from, I'm just making up a number, if I went up from $40,000 to $4,500, the next year I'm still got the $500 increase, and the next year I got the $500. It's not going to disappear, so it's there, and it's, yeah.
So the advantage is it's increasing your tapers. It doesn't cost the district more in taxes because it's still going to be pre-tax when we would assume that people are still enrolling in health insurance, and it's going to run back through Section 125, so it's still going to be pre-tax.
I also feel like this is really kind of a thin line by what Alan was saying earlier, because like, how do you approach and say, hey, maybe take insurance elsewhere? Like, because if you incentivize it and then we lose too many people, then our group is too small, right? And then I don't, but if we keep all the people, I would defer to Mike on group size.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been in groups half the size and you're still credible or whatever.
yeah, I've been doing this for 40 years, like age myself like that, but if it's free, you don't get any movement. We had a smaller district out west here that had 117 people on their plan. They went to a $25 a month contribution for a single, and 20 people got off the plan, and it saved the district $200,000. Okay, that's a simple scenario what happened there. So if the 25 bucks went across, but you adjust, if you just did to the people on the plan, who are on the medical plan, the others aren't gonna like that. They're gonna say, well, then I should be on the plan, so you get more people to jump on the plan. People aren't gonna buy, they're not gonna spend money for something that they don't get something out of. Now they're spending because they're not spending any money, it's free. And that's the problem. The problem is the concept of free.
Currently, for option one, for one employee, it is how much for the district a month?
$830 for a single.
Okay.
That's what they pay. And option number one costs more, so it costs that employee $62. So again, if you take that $62 and they do it for 12 months, that's $760 or $1,716. The out-of-pocket difference between option one and option two on your maximum out-of-pocket is $3,500 or $4,000. So they're spending $726 to not spend $500 on the worst-case scenario.
So on 1 and 2, they're paying $881. The district's paying $881.
Yeah, $881.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that $830 is what they're paying.
$830 is option 4.
That was kind of the average we were using.
Okay.
Just to give some numbers instead of trying to allocate it across.
Oh, so the district is paying 100% of option 2, not option 1?
Right, yes.
Okay, and so okay, I was looking the other direction.
So the teacher negotiation was October 21st, y'all had a meeting, is that right? That's what we had on our agenda in the past, y'all were going to meet with them?
We have not met.
No.
Oh.
No, that got canceled.
Okay.
Yeah. The newest one we have is a week from today.
Okay.
No, that's not negotiations. That is labor management.
Okay.
That's labor management meeting, not negotiations.
Negotiations has not.
Although it looks very similar, I would
Okay,
agree.
all right.
It looks very similar, but it is technically labor management.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions?
When did we switch to Aetna? What year?
2018. We did it in December of 2007.
It wasn't before that?
Before that, they were with the state, the district was with the state of Kansas.
It was Blue Cross Blue Shield, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was 2018.
The state offers 3 medical companies, so they could pick between the 3. But yeah, it was Blue Cross. Most of the people out here were Blue Cross.
Because we were on Blue Cross Blue Shield. My wife works for the state of Kansas on Blue Cross Blue Shield. They were the same plans as whoever had the most hits, and sometimes we were here with with the kids, and sometimes we were over there with the kids. It's just where it was, and so, but they were the same plans. You just kind of weighed what was going to cost you more for the same coverage, just whoever had more claims that year or that grouping, and that's what we did.
And since 2018, the state has kind of changed the benefits to HRAs and high deductible health plans for the most part. They've moved most of those people that, and the out-of-pockets and things changed. The year I came in, you were getting, in 18, you were going to get a 7.5% increase from the state. And John, who was the superintendent at the time, had just taken a 5.5% increase. And what was happening is they were doing negotiations in July and setting, well, here's where we're going to pay this, and then he'd get this increase, and it wasn't in the budget. And so when we came in, we did the initial year December because it was a cheaper rate. And Aetna actually paid off the $200,000 to get out of the state account because you got out within 2 years instead of a 3-year contract. They paid that, and your rates went down 2.5% from current. So it started out as a windfall here. It was a change, and that was a big deal to the folks in the district here.
And one thing I found interesting too, out of with the information provided, was out of the 223 that participated, 81 of them said that it was average, meaning average benefits. And 23 said it was poor. And 36 said they didn't know. They didn't know how to.
They weren't on the plan, that's what that means.
Yeah, okay, that's what that means.
They're not on the plan.
They're not on the plan.
Yeah.
So only 19 said that it was an excellent.
That's actually pretty high compared to what the initial surveys were in 18, 20, 21. I mean,
Because they don't have anything comparative.
well, yeah, they just, well, it was different. And I mean, when I go through the survey results, I pick up on what people understand, what they don't understand, and I read them. I mean, I've read your survey probably 6 times, the responses. That's why I had 39 responses commenting on dependent coverage is too high. That was the highest of any comment in the entire survey was that. And the folks here, trust me, they comment. I mean, there's pages of comments. Like everyone feels an obligation to say something on every one of them, so we get them a lot of them, which is good. I mean, that's how you get feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
To clarifying question, so you said $881 is what the district pays or what the employee pays a month? Or
The district.
the district's paying that.
that's a year?
A month.
A month.
Okay. And that's what the district pays for each individual, so you take that
For a
time.
single,
For a
1050.
single.
And 1,050 for a dependent.
881 times 12. So we're paying about $10,500 a year.
You're paying $12,600 on dependent coverage and $9,960 on
I just took the 881 and times 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's on that front page of the sheet.
It's on the second to last page.
Everybody that's on 1 and 2 might be doing $10,000.
Yeah, option 1 and 2, both are over 10,000 for the district pays.
Where do we go from here?
I think it's just information to know, so we can go from here. But I think it was wise to hear what the teachers heard from them as well, and you know, I was on negotiations last year with you, and we heard from Chris with his, and so I think we all need to be on board with something that is of great value and money in our district, and savings one way or the other, or benefits for each. But like Ruth, if we have some that don't need it and there's money to be had, or one way or the other, then I think we should look at it.
Well, and I think we need to reevaluate again different plans. I mean, you said the last time we actually looked at Aetna was 2017, 18?
We switched to Aetna in 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So I think the way insurance has changed, and that's going to be a big topic of conversation this next year again, with just America in general, of how all insurance is going to affect all of us. So I think it's worth looking at. For example, my husband works for the county. We pay $325 a month for family. Now we have a $12,000 family deductible, but I think it's worth looking into, especially when we have other entities here that especially if you have the capability to research those different programs, and it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then we have FCMI. So we have 2 plans under that. Now, his is, it's kind of like Jamie said, you have to do your own research, because I am offered health insurance through mine. My plan is way more expensive, so obviously I take this. But I don't take mine too, to cost my company that money, because I have that plan there. So it's a matter of educating yourself too, of knowing how it works. But again, I will reiterate, it can't just be to teachers. It needs to go out to everybody who's a full-time employee with the district, so they have a way to understand it as well. And I hope we're not missing out on those employees. I really hope we're not.
All of the group meetings, all of that is set up for everyone.
Yeah, it's for everyone.
We set it to where
We do them for the bus people purposely at a time so they can come.
Do we still have an insurance committee?
Yes.
And when's the last time that they met?
we usually meet about this time. As soon as we get through summer claims, then we'll have the first meeting, and then quarterly leading up to it.
And is that committee comprised of all staff or?
Yeah, there's classified, certified.
So they do. It might be worth like sending an email to the committee. Well, I'm sure they look at other options. So they do have a committee that reevaluates it every year. I just don't know what it is.
What do you think if you got in front of everybody and kind of explained it, there'd be people that you'd catch, like if part of a professional development day, have where come in and talk to everybody and have like not just the teachers, but the other staff come in for the front half of something, just kind of go over everything? Do you think you can catch people that way? I mean,
we have been open to be available to educate no matter how they want to do it.
I think we did that one time. I think at the very beginning when we switched to ed.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do that every year.
Yeah.
well, it's
During
not like
open
there's
enrollment.
kind of some trouble with people not making meetings when we're having specific discussions, so I guess I didn't know, you personally or your group, in front of the whole district in a meeting that's mandatory, that you could, maybe reach some of those people.
To be clear, they're available each year.
They're available.
But I think Dr. Yarmer is saying, when you have an in-serve or something, and you have the whole group there, do we have them speaking to the group during an in-service as well?
Yeah, we had last spring, during open enrollment, to kick off open enrollment, they were here, we did 4 different meetings, one for elementary staff, when we had all elementary, and one for secondary staff, when we had all secondary together, and then 2 other times to be able to catch all of the classified and any certified who didn't make one of those during the building. So it wasn't mandatory, we didn't check your name off, but there were 4 different times, and the lion's share of the district attended.
Well, it's not like there's people that are taking the plan that's not beneficial to them, that's detrimental to the district. So if you catch those people and say there's a better plan out there for you guys that's also beneficial to the district as a whole, I mean, it's a win-win. I still don't know how to get you in front of those people, or what would be the best way forward.
We asked in the survey, what's the best way for you to be educated? We have that information, and I put it in here. I mean, look, they slotted and said they wanted back to have the one-on-ones, because what's happening, what she was saying, we have people I know at the middle school, very big supporter of the high deductible health plan, and she says, go call them and go see them. And so that's not why we were getting people, was someone was saying, if you don't understand it, understand it. Yeah. I mean, when we came into the district, and I did the initial meeting at the high school over at and it was in July, and it was 104 degrees, no one turned the AC on, very specifically. I talked to people, and I asked questions in the meeting, and this was a film meeting, they actually put on YouTube of all things too, but I asked, what is your out-of-pocket exposure? There wasn't a single person who could answer the question. What's the maximum out-of-pocket you could spend? What's your deductible? If you hit your co-insurance deductible, what's the most you got? No one could answer any of those questions. So we've come a really long way in educating the group. It's just we're not there yet. And people still don't understand the benefits of the Section 125 plan. If you have expenses and you're not putting money aside to pay pre-tax, you're kind of manage your money, because you might as well save your taxable income on those expenses you're going to have.
Can I
We went from 13 people to 140 on a high deductible health plan.
Yeah.
That's huge, because they just would not enroll it, wouldn't look at it. And that's taken time to get there. So.
So I wanted to just use my microphone just to point out a couple of things that we have not said out loud. And one of those is that the HSA doesn't have to be spent inside the year. So if you get this high deductible plan, if a person gets enrolled in this and the district is giving a contribution equivalent to what we would have been paying in a premium, then that money goes into the HSA, and if you don't spend it in the first year, no big. If you don't spend it in the second year, no big. All of that stuff is coming out of your paycheck before taxes, so if you're making a contribution as well, your pot of money is growing so fast.
Right.
It's just an enormous pot of money that you never have to, there's no limit on when you have to use that. There are other plans that have things that have limits on what you have, when you have to use it. The other thing about these kinds of plans that's maybe not as well publicized as it should be is that they're still covering for now preventive care. So all the things that we go to the doctor for every year or on our magical birthdays, those are all covered still.
100%.
So that's 100% coverage. So even if you're like just a normal average kind of healthy-ish person like me, I go to the doctor when I'm supposed to. I go to the dentist when I'm supposed to. So I have, 6 or 7 scheduled appointments a year that are not surprises, and that is not coming out of the HSA. I don't have one of these plans available to me right now, not one that also contributes to my HSA, which I don't have. So I'm out of luck. But my husband has one, and that's what my kids covered under. So I've seen them work, and I've seen them work for even large medical events because those pots of money build very quickly. And so a person has had, I've seen a person have, major medical problems, and they're happening in February, and they're good for the rest of the year. And that's how deductibles are supposed to work, but this comes with that nice extra benefit. And I just thought we were,
There should be more people in the high deductible health than there are, but it's progressing there. I mean, we don't talk to 100% of the people. We don't get a chance to educate every person. So the best we do is get the word of mouth. Someone sits there and shares something, or they call and they get help. But tell me, here's what's going on. I can direct people. If you think this is what's going to happen next year, I can tell you the best plan. Now, if something totally changes on what help you never go to the doctor and then you have a heart attack, well, it's going to change.
That's different.
But it's still, if the worst case scenario at best, you can explain. And people don't deal with this every day. I mean, a lot of people learn what their medical plan is when they get home from the hospital when their first baby's born. They go look, okay, what do I owe? What am I going to owe? It's scary, but that's true.
Thank you for taking the time to come talk about this today.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike and Brian. Appreciate it very much. 6.3, Classified and Administrator Handbook, second read.
Yeah, this is just second read, really zero changes to the administrative handbook. I think the classified handbook changes are minimal.
It was all formatting, formatting and rearranging.
Can you give me a history of this administrative handbook? When was it developed?
We made changes to it last year. When was it started?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, we made changes to it last year, but as far as...
We haven't approved it until this time.
No, you approved it last year.
When?
I'll have to go back and look. I can't pull that up my memory.
Okay. So I have some questions. You want me to start going through? Okay, can you explain, or I'm on...
Which one, classified or administrative?
on administrative. When I look at this is mostly an employee handbook that's been adapted. I mean, do we have a teacher-employee handbook?
Yeah. Negotiated agreement.
The negotiated agreement. So is this pulled out of that mostly?
I think a lot of things you would see that would be yes.
Because this doesn't say when it was established. It says it was updated on in 23 on the front page.
Okay. I don't know. What difference does that make? When it was established or not?
Well, some of this is fairly new to me. Like, we're taking out everything on payroll enrollment for all employees for administration. Why is that? On page 8.
Those were taken out last year, and I don't think it's just been updated. That's not any changes. That's what you approved last year.
Okay. So all these things in red and they're crossed out is last year's?
That was taken out last year.
Wasn't updated?
I guess you don't have it updated.
We talked about this last time. Chris said everything that he took out was just because it was already mentioned elsewhere.
Or duplicated in other places.
Yeah, it was duplicated.
Mentioned elsewhere in this document?
Most of the time it was on board policy already, and so in cases, are we talking the classified handbook or the?
I think he's on
The administration.
The duplicate stuff, that's all in the classified handbook. There were many, many places where you'll see changes, and it was because it's already a board policy. So rather than trying to reproduce the exact same language, and then when the board policy changes and you forget to go update it here, we just reference back to the board policy. So if you're talking on something specific in the administrative handbook right now?
Yeah.
Okay, what part?
A lot of it has red lines, the same.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I'm looking at all the red
So you're talking
items and lines that are marked out.
Yeah, there's a KSA, there's a statute that says we have to do health certification as part of all employees. It's not specific to administration.
So where is it? That's in our policy? Or
Yeah. Okay. So the last time the administrative handbook was approved was September 11th of 23.
It's been administrator here, but this is not new, the administrator. It's just anything that changes in other systems or policy, we just try to update, but as far as, so I guess we can research whatever.
Has this been sent to KSB and have them go through it? Because they do that for all handbooks. Has it not been done? To make sure everything's done as far as statute? Do we not do that?
I don't necessarily know if there's not necessarily any statute. This doesn't concern any statutes. Kansas law, this is just employees and how we handle.
I thought you mentioned a minute ago that to make sure it was changed according to KSA statute.
That's the health certificate. You asked about the health certificate specifically?
Yeah.
It's stricken out because it's a part of board policy because of statute already.
Mr. Jeter, have you reviewed these, what Alan's talking about as far as updates?
I have no idea what Alan's talking
Okay.
about. No, I haven't. I've reviewed the documents as it was attached to the agenda for the last meeting.
So this is, as far as you can tell, is updated to,
Yeah, when I look at those things, I look at them from a legal perspective and not from a practical matters. And there isn't anything there that doesn't satisfy my legal.
so all this information like on page 16 that has to do with personal leave, sick leave, that's all in our policy, or is that?
It's a negotiated agreement, Al.
Okay, but the negotiated agreement is not.
Doesn't apply to administrators, so basically it's the same thing, it's just in the administrator.
But I think that's where we're making this.
But we're not making any changes. This is exactly what was in place last year and has been in place for.
Part of the reason for changes like this is because it's driven, this is the section you're talking about on 16, or 15 and 16 are benefits offerings. Those are in the benefits handbook, the enrollment handbook that Mike and Brian have been talking about, that are subject to negotiations every year and comes out during open enrollment. So at some point that they were added back into the administrative handbook, well then as things evolve in our benefits offering, you don't remember to go change it here, then you have two different
So you simplified
2%.
it.
And so you take it out here and say, go look at the benefits handbook. That's always up to date. It's up to date. It's up to date every year when we do open enrollment. So that was the intent.
I mean, you have conflicting information.
Administrative director leave policies will be the same as negotiated with HNEA. So that's the clause there that refers back to what HNEA. So we don't have to, again, like Chris said, changes there, then it changes here, so.
Okay, on page 20, where it says payment and salary method, it says that the payment and salary administrative director is the same as negotiated agreement at HNEA.
Yeah, that's just the method, not the actual payment. Like just how they receive it, which would be 9-month or 12-month and direct deposit, right?
Yes.
Method? So if I'm understanding correctly, all of the changes made are just to streamline and make sure that we don't have any missed areas in the future, so that we don't have to make multiple changes and possibly forget somewhere.
That's the intent, yes.
Okay.
Or you
My
get-
only other question is it possible to link, since this is like an online, so searches of students and properties, see Board of Education policy, JCAB and JCABB, can we link at least just to the website? That way it's not like, oh God, I have to pull it up. I can just click on it.
We can probably link directly.
Maybe next
to the policy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Not be that hard.
The only issue there is, then if we change the carrier, we don't have board docs anymore. And you
Even link to the website where
you link to the
you click
website
on
and
it.
you go look it up.
Yeah.
Yes, we can make it easier for people to get to. Yes.
So the item in here for the administrative handbook is the draft form, it's not the...
It was just not updated. I mean, everything that's been crossed out you approved last year, it just never was officially removed. And
I would like to see an updated...
Yeah, I would too. We'll make sure that happens.
Didn't you give one to the staff or something, an updated one?
No.
The administrators don't have an updated one?
It's on the website. They can access it.
So I would make a motion to approve the classified handbook and administrator handbook as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of adopting the handbooks say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no.
No.
6-1. Passes 6-1. Okay, next item on our agenda is, come on, computer, is 6.4, disposal of obsolete district property. Mr. Park, you had that removed?
Yes. Could you explain what we have in that list?
Do you want explanation?
Yes. This looks like it's all Hayes High wood shop equipment.
Yep. Powermatic drill press, 2 of them, a mortar serve, a shaper, and 2 wood lathes.
Are they in working condition?
Can't tell you.
I mean, they're not really
They
obsolete.
were not in the shop. I can tell you that. They've been in the storage.
The wood lathes have been in the right corner for 15 years, if not more. If not more.
Table saws, I don't remember exactly when we got to all saw stop, but we haven't had a non-saw stop table saw in high school for at least 3 years.
I have no idea.
Probably more than that.
Probably more. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're obsolete, not needed.
I'd like to move to approve the disposal of this district property to be listed as suggested.
I second.
They're probably moving a second. Any other discussion?
Yes. Could we didn't get the copy of the Purple Wave, what we had last time. Can you send that to us? And when this is complete, can you send it to us regularly after we have these sales?
So you want a
Purple Wave, yes.
You want a payment sheet? What we got paid for them?
They give a sheet.
They all auction companies give them to you.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Okay. Calling for the vote. All those in favor of disposal of obsolete district property say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. 7-0, Jess. Passes 7-0. Come on, happy computer. Okay, no executive session. I would remind 7 board members that KSAB conference is going on in Wichita. Alan is our delegate voter. I did email you. I was having problems with my computer, but things that are on the agenda to be voted on or were sent to you. If you have concerns or wishes, please let Mr. Park know that. That would be appreciated.
There's 3 basic things. There's the amendments to the Constitution for KSB. There's the president-elect. There's just one. So the president-elect is a doctor, and she has been involved in KSB with a lot of different things. There's a video on there if you want to watch to see.
Okay.
So unless I get some information, whatever the board wishes, and if you have a chance, look it over. And the legislation update. Mr. Wilson, do you have any concerns over the things they've got on there?
Okay. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor, say yes.
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 I'll second.
Sorry about that. No, I'm ready to adjourn.
Discussion for a second. There is a pre-conference, and I don't know if anybody's planning on doing that or when everybody's going, but maybe the people that are going, we should talk about that, or how we traveling and all that.
Okay. You can, visit with individually. Just so you know, I'm going, you're going, I think Megan's going, and Jess is going. So
Hey.
there you go.
My name is Jamie.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. Jamie's going. Tell her ready to adjourn, Jamie. All those in favor of adjournments, please say yes.
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 We good, Jess? Are you a yes on adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. 7-0, adjourn. Thank you.